What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Retro Hoop Collectibles. We have our weekly PSA update to go over on what they did last week in terms of output, on how many cards they graded or how many items they graded. We do this every week, 6 p.m. The video drops every week on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. So if you haven't subscribed already, hit the notification bell. Please do so. I'm doing about, on average, about 3 or 4 videos a week, just dropping stuff as it pops up in the news. And if I get my hands on some product to break, I'll break some product. And then we do the weekly updates and anything that comes up between that time. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button on this video if you like this kind of stuff. And also, if you haven't already, follow me on Instagram at Retro Hoop Breaks. A lot of you have been following me on there. A lot of messages on there. I appreciate them all. So you guys can reach me there. Also on email. All the information will be in the description. And yeah, that'll do it. So I did want to take a quick look at complete through dates, because a couple of you have been asking. So here's complete through dates for the 31st. This was as of the 17th. Not a lot of movement with the exception of quarterly specials. Quarterly specials made a pretty big jump to the 23rd, with the majority of September being complete. But we're talking about September of 2020. We are now in September of 2021. So good luck with that. Mine, I believe, is in modern. And the receipt date from PSA was like end of January, even though they had it since like December. So I mean, they're not even getting close to mine. So anyway, that's not even going to be anything that is going to matter. But walkthrough is about the same. Super Express about the same. All these are about the same. Reholders are about the same. Club vouchers are about the same. Everything's about the same for the most part. Vintage jumped up a little bit. I might use this one going forward as my kind of my marker. But TCG is pretty flat. I mean, not really much is going on. I mean, these dates are still in 2020. So, and then, if you take that along with the fact that PSA already said that the majority of their backlog, I think they threw up that little pie chart just to, just to keep everybody informed on what their backlog consists of. But it seems like the entirety of their backlog, about 80 or 75% of it, is all this value stuff. So that's the reason why we're seeing all these dates still in 2020, and here we are going into the fourth quarter of 2021. So a little bit demoralizing, but I mean, not really much different than I expected. It was kind of surprising to see that quarterly special date jump up pretty good. So I guess they're making some strides, but then again, every week that I put this out, several of you, anytime that I talk about complete through dates on the weekly update, several of you email me or message me on Instagram or DM me and say, yeah, that thing's complete bullshit. I have orders that I've received that are way sooner than that. I have orders that are still sitting there that are way older than that. So it's much to do about nothing, I suppose. But some of you have been asking to see it and get my comments on it and kind of get it compared to an older snapshot, because you guys know I have a handful of snapshots. So here it is. Not much moved in the last 2 weeks. So we'll get off of that. Actually, let me save that. I'll save that later. All right, so we'll jump off of that, and this is the numbers for this week. They actually did pretty good in terms of an increase. It's the biggest week that they've had since the National, or since before the National. So it's the biggest week that they've had since then. It seems like they're on pace to kind of get back to where they were, that 180,000 a week in terms of output. But I mean, a lot of what we were talking about the last couple of weeks was the potential that it could have been, COVID shutdowns and things like that. Obviously, the viruses, the Delta variant has been kind of running through and pretty much nationwide, shutting things down and stuff like that. And so keep in mind the PSA is located in California, which is kind of one of the more cautious states when it comes to regulation of shutting things down and quarantining and all that stuff. So I don't doubt that had something to do with it as well. But it just seemed the timing to me was a little too weird, that they just haven't really been able to recover since even the week before the National. So they kind of hit a low at the beginning of August, and then pretty much recovered in the month of August. So they're about 20,000 off from their peak where they were before the National, but it's a good pattern to see. So you got 135,000 the week after the National, then 150, then 140. So this dip here, where it just didn't continue to go up. So we saw 130, which was the week of the National, or the week after the National. So the week of the National, we saw 130. The week after the National, it stayed pretty flat. And then we started to see some upward trend. And if anything, I would say the dip between this 154 and 143 is exactly probably attributed more to like summer vacations, maybe some Delta, some COVID Delta variant, can be attributed to that. Because what I was expecting to see was this 160 happen last week, and then this week get up closer to the 180. So if I had to throw in a prediction, I'd probably say they'd be like in the 175s next week, and kind of back to where they were prior to the National. But what concerns me a little bit more about that, more than anything, is that it took them, I mean, we're not even going to count that one, but it took them almost an entire month, an entire 4 weeks to recover from the National. And that sounds about right. Whenever you're moving your capacity like that logistically from one place to the other, it takes some time to, momentum is when you kill your momentum, it's tough to gain it back. So it doesn't surprise me that it took them that long to turn things around, which is why I was so concerned about it in the first place when they had first announced that they were going to the National. Not only because I wanted them to continue on with this great pace that they were having, getting close to the 200,000 cards a week, but because I knew that once they stopped it and they went to go do something else and then took time away from that, it was going to kill that momentum. And it did just that. It took them just about, and they're still not fully recovered yet, but it's going to take them about a month and a half to get back to where they were originally, where we can hopefully start seeing some significant numbers coming out. And with the significant numbers coming out, really just hoping that that's going to mean more people are going to be getting their cards back quicker. They'll be able to run through that backlog a little bit quicker, and ultimately get caught up. Because what's going to happen is once they get caught up, and once they get to a point to where they have a good capacity, they have a good group of people, then they can really start looking at eliminating the people who are shitty graders, for lack of a better word. Because we've all talked about it. We've talked about it several times, how we've seen just very bad and very inconsistent grading from PSA recently. And a lot of that probably has to do with just people who are grading who maybe aren't the most experienced. Could be. So with a smaller backlog and a more controlled backlog, you can really start to make some fine tuning on your personnel and make sure you keep good quality people and start getting rid of some of the people that you don't haven't been performing very well. So that's kind of the update for this week. I didn't want to make it any longer than I needed to. You guys wanted to see the complete through dates. I wanted to kind of talk about just this 165 that they did this week, which was great. And that's pretty much it. I don't really have anything else to add. Hopefully next week it'll be kind of a more telling sign as to whether or not they're going to be consistent with their growth week over week. If they are, then great. Again, that means we'll be getting our cards back quicker. I'm not holding out any hope on seeing my Elijah ones at all this year. And it probably won't be until next year sometime, which would mean that they would have had my cards for over a year and a half. And that sucks. So, again, one of the big things I like about doing this is getting you guys' comments and you guys' feedbacks on your particular orders. What are you seeing with your orders? Do you have orders that have had a birthday there already, that have been there for a year? A lot of people have been commenting, oh, well, your order didn't get brought into the system until late January, so expect your 8 to 10 months, just like everybody else has been doing. But from what I'm hearing is that there's a handful of you that have orders that have been there for a year already. Also, another thing I'll mention too is that I've been getting a lot of emails and a lot of messages from those of you who have successfully withdrawn your orders from PSA. So if you guys don't already know, if you're not past step 3, you can recall your order. Send them an email and tell them that you want to recall your order, you want to get your order back. They will charge you shipping, but they will send you your cards back if that's an option for you. So if it's a PC item, it's not anything that you were looking to flip or anything like that. Or even if it is and you feel like you can still do well with a SGC or a HGA or even a BGS for that matter, that is an option. If you're not past step 3, then they will send you your order back. I'm not exactly sure how that works with group subs. Oh, and another thing too is that I heard that complete through dates do not include group submissions, which is insane to me. That cannot be right. Those of you in the comments who know or are privy to the process of group submitting through PSA back when you were able to do it, if you still have a connection, can anybody verify that the complete through dates does not include group submissions? If it doesn't, then that is the most misleading piece of information that PSA has put out to date, because it makes zero sense. And I'm hoping that is not the case, because if it is, then I just will never show complete through dates again, because then that means that they are absolute garbage. There's no reason for them to put that out if they're not going to include if they're not going to include group submissions in that, because that's probably the biggest chunk of their backlog, or that's group submissions is the reason why they have such a big backlog, I would say. But at any rate, you guys help me out. Let me know in the comments if you guys got any of that information. If not, we will continue on next week looking at next week's update, and hopefully we start to see some increase and start to see a trend upwards, and hopefully that means we get our cards back sooner. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Those of you who are here every Wednesday at 6 p.m., I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Peace.